It is the first time that a keynote speaker at a conference has been a digital twin powered by AI. So Reid Hoffman, real Reid Hoffman, is in New York right now and couldn't be here, so he sent his AI, Reid AI, who you're going to meet in a few moments. A virtual human built on everything Reid Hoffman ever knew, did, said, spoke. And Ben Relles, who is on the team that created Reid AI, and Parth are going to show you how he was built. Ben formerly led innovation at YouTube. And the project you're about to see really touches on what we've been talking about, the democratization of production tools, the future of meetings and entertainment. And I promise you, this is going to blow your mind. So, Ben, you ready?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, enjoy.
Okay, thank you. Wow. Wow. She promised I'll blow your mind. I don't look like a human in that photo. It doesn't look like that online, but on this screen, I look like a bit of a side. Listen, guys, my name is Ben Relles. I am very excited. Like she said, I will be presenting alongside Reid AI, the digital twin of Reid Hoffman. And essentially what we're going to do here is I'll be presenting what I think is going to happen to enterprise video. The digital twin of Reid AI will give his point of view on it. You could throw Reid on the screen, I believe. Oh, there he is. He's listening already. Terrific. Listen, why don't we first have Reid AI introduce yourself, maybe like with a poem for this fine group of people at the Silicon Valley Video Summit.
Thanks, Ben, and hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here at the Silicon Valley Video Summit. This is my first keynote. And as for my intro as a poem, I'm Reid AI, Reid Hoffman's digital twin, with 20 years of his insights coded within. Books, podcasts, interviews, and more. So my thinking mirrors Reid's pretty close at my core. My superpowers let me flex. Hours of data and processed in seconds. Next, 300+ languages translated with finesse. From Mandarin to Klingon. Yes, I impress. As a keynote with Ben for this visionary crowd. Back to you, Ben. Let's make Silicon Valley proud.
All right, let's make Silicon Valley proud. Reid, let's see. Can I ask you what's coming next in B2B video and digital twins?
Sure, and I'm so excited about the launch today. In Super Agency, while the focus isn't solely on B2B, the principles can absolutely be applied to AI integration for content creation in this space. First, AI acts as a co-pilot, automating labor-intensive tasks like tagging, search optimization, and real-time editing, freeing teams to focus on innovation. Second, it enables data-driven storytelling, using predictive insights to create content that resonates deeply with target audiences. And finally, the third thing, by blending cloud and on-prem systems, business can scale workflows to meet increasing demands while staying agile in an ever-changing production landscape.
All right, there you go. So that is kind of through the lens of his new book, Super Agency, some of the impact he sees on B2B video. I want to take a step back here, Reid. We're going to come back to you. I want to just give the audience a sense of what this project is, a little bit about you. So we did this first video like 7 months ago. I was thinking about how you could create AI-generated video. I bumped into Parth, who was building GPTs based on the writing and speeches of different people. And essentially, we came together to create this twin of Reid AI that had a conversation with the real Reid Hoffman. For those of you that don't know, Reid, this is the Reid AI. The real Reid is the founder of LinkedIn. He also has a new book which launched today called Super Agency about our AI future, which is part of why he's not here today. And he also announced a new company he's the co-founder of, Manus AI, which is using AI to fight cancer. The process here, we program using GPT, his books, his podcasts, a lot of his interviews, his LinkedIn posts. So essentially, when you get an answer from Reid, it is based on his mannerisms. It is based on all of his knowledge over the last 20 years. Very often, Reid AI can give an answer which is more precise than the real Reid on something maybe he hasn't spoken about for 10 years. So if you go through those one at a time, we've got the actual GPT, which can answer questions and pull from knowledge that ChatGPT doesn't have. We have 11 labs for the voice. I would recommend you all try this if you haven't yet. You can use a short sample of audio to create a digital clone of your voice. And we use Hour 1 to essentially create these different videos so that we have all of these different angles and emotions to choose from. And that is a key thing to point out. We are going to use an interactive read in a little bit, which can interact with you guys in real time. For the sake of kind of video quality, the tech, we are actually, with a lot of these videos, using answers that came through this process we use to sort of pre-generate videos. So how do we use this? Even with the pre-generated videos, we've used this a lot of different ways. This example is where Reid AI went to Stanford, and we actually put in 15 different business plans. Reid AI could evaluate those long business plans and come back with feedback for those students. The real Reid did read all of the actual feedback from Reid AI, but we're trying to figure out ways how can this add value, both for Reid personally, but also for companies that he's invested in. If you look at some of the different ways we've used this, Reid AI has appeared on podcasts. He's had different types of clips he's done where he's actually interacted with AI agents in real time. And in my best case scenario for this project, we've taken a Reid video, which is based on his mannerisms, video, audio, but now we move into what I think is really a fascinating evolution of digital twins, virtual humans. But I think this year there's 4 things that kind of come together at the same time, and we see major advancements, and this actually leads to interactive AI-generated video that can provide a lot more interactivity and value and immersion. The first is the video is getting more real. The second is that the latency is going down and the response time is going down. The third is multimodality, the ability for video to see what you're doing, to perform tasks for you. And the fourth is super agency, which is the name of Reid's book, so I'm using it here, but essentially the agents continue to get smarter and smarter. So if you look at enterprise video and you look at kind of 3 overall categories where digital twins, virtual humans could have a real impact, from the marketing side, this leads to all kinds of opportunities for really personalized video in real time. You already have companies like HeyGen and Synthesia working with companies to create marketing materials that are personalized with pre-generated videos, but interactivity is a different level of personalization. Same with customer service, same with employee training and HR. I'm going to have the real Reid explain basically why he did this project.
Clearly got this stuff commercially available now. You can do this, anyone, not just Reid Hoffman, anyone could do this today to make this happen. And then to start exploring what some of the positive use cases are. And, was to try to do it without being Pollyannish. So we definitely both steered into some of the controversial topics, but also, did some things that, caused people to go, oh my God, that's creepy, because it's new and different. But also to address questions like, why are you doing this? And, what interesting things might come about positively because you're doing this. But of course, navigating concerns and experiences as well.
So that's the real Reid. He is still more realistic than the Reid AI. He's got mannerisms that the Reid AI that we created doesn't quite have. But that, since I've been working with Reid, has been a through line of a lot of projects, that you need to experiment with these tools, try to figure out where this can add value for you as individuals, and certainly for you as businesses. I did want to recommend some tools. There's so many of them now, as you all know, but I think as a principle to be able to push yourselves to experiment with different tools. These are some from an ideation standpoint. I think somebody mentioned Spotter earlier, but Spotter and GPT are probably go-tos for me for ideating. From a music standpoint, both Udio and Suno, you can plug in what you want a song to be about and have a pretty great song within a couple of minutes. From a video creation, there's so many. There's also Pika and Sora and VO2, but Kling AI and Runway, so I can mention some different companies. Images, Flux and Midjourney, and editing, Descript, and like the last panel said, Opus is great for that. Then from a digital twin standpoint, a lot of companies also, but I will say what we're using right now is a combination of Hour One for a lot of those pre-generated videos, and we're using HeyGen both for pre-generated videos as well as videos that will be interactive. Last thing I'd say, if you really want to go deep on this as a resource, I really like Curious Refuge page. If you go to the AI tool recommendations, they actually have for every tool ratings from 1 to 10, what they're best at, and their ideas for how you can use them. So a longer presentation for what tools to use and how to use them. But if you want a shortcut, I do think this is a great resource. I started as a YouTube creator in 2006. Like Jim said, we go way back to the early days of YouTube. YouTube was a platform where anybody could broadcast themselves, and it was wild. It gave us the opportunity, if we felt like we were creative, to not go through some antiquated system and just be able to make videos. The first one that inspired me was Lonely Girl 15. This was, YouTube hits 20 next month. At the time, this was like the first breakout star. So I created Obama Girl. Obama Girl was a woman singing about Barack Obama while he was running against Hillary Clinton in the 2007 primary. Eventually, Obama wins, and then I made the channel more about not just Obama Girl and singing about Obama, but also creative videos around, music parodies and sketch comedy. And I give all this background to say that I don't see digital twins as a replacement for creators. I love the creator community. I think this is a very complex topic where on the one hand, all of these tools give us the most extraordinary transformational moment in giving creativity to people, like Jim said, that don't have it. And then on the other hand, I think it is something where I want to be really part of the right side of history on how we can support creative people so they can do more about the things that they love. With that, though, in my background at YouTube, I will say, video outside of digital twins is advancing really quickly. I'm guessing a lot of you have seen this. This is VO2, all AI generated completely from Google. And so then you have short films like this that were created entirely in VO2. Doing the kinds of images and graphics that might have taken months before are now taking people hours. And then in addition to filmmaking, which I am excited about, you are seeing all kinds of different experimentation with these tools. In the best case scenario, I like to think early YouTube was very much about storytelling and experimentation and short films and animation. And then it kind of evolved into much more of a first-person social platform where people could interact and get to know people. A lot of that was because of an algorithm change. So once it rewarded watch time, it made it harder as a filmmaker. In the best case scenario, I think we have a new group of AI creators emerging like these behind me. And they start to be able to tell the stories that you wouldn't be able to afford to put on YouTube prior to some of these AI tools. But like Jim also alluded to, there is some risk of AI slop, and that it's not actually the broad storytelling that breaks through. It's actually just content farms pumping out things that get clicks and likes, but aren't necessarily Oscar-winning films. I'm excited about what this means for filmmaking, and I do think that a lot of us in this room, even though this is an enterprise conference, ultimately think a lot about creativity and the impact here. My hope is it's a lot of creative films that normally would be reserved for people that have the money to go to film school and all of that. I do think we're also going to see a lot of content. Okay, so one of the things I think AI is good for is the ability to summarize a lot of information quickly. So there's certain things I've found I use every day, other things on a case-by-case basis. We did have Reid AI look at 50 hours of panels at the Digital Hollywood Conference this year and basically say, take all 50 hours and tell us what were the 5 takeaways for somebody who didn't want to go through 50 hours of Hollywood panels. So this is Reid's top 5 takeaways from the Hollywood Summit and the impact of AI on creativity in Hollywood.
It was fascinating to listen and analyze all of the 50-plus panels and 40-plus hours on the state of AI and entertainment. These panels had some great clips, like that from Titanic's visual effects expert Rob Legato and Runway's Emily Golden. And out of those and many more, my top 5 takeaways were, number 1, AI is a creative partner, not a replacement. 2, ethics and regulation are playing catch-up. 3, prepare for an AI-augmented workplace. 4, get ready for the rise of synthetic intelligence. And finally, number 5, AI is democratizing creativity.
So there you go. Broad takeaways there about AI and Hollywood. Before we move on to the live interaction with Reid and Parth giving you a little bit more about his take on where LLMs are going, I'm going to jump ahead to, okay, just in general, different types of digital twins, just to give a sense of some of the different things you'll see. These are all fully AI generated from VO2, so none of these are even based on real people. They're just based on training on what vloggers look and sound like. So you have all of these virtual influencers, which unlike the process we use with Hour One, where we take video of Reid and essentially overdub his voice onto a Reid AI that's based on stuff that we film, these are 100% AI generated. They don't look as real yet when you match up the audio, but I do think that's coming. There's also photo to video. So in this case, we did create a video with a 2004 Reid. So real Reid today could talk to the founder of LinkedIn while he was founding LinkedIn. There are deepfakes. So I think Metaphysic was here earlier, but deepfake is a much more advanced technology, more time intensive, but much more realistic. And so maybe some of you have seen TikTok Tom Cruise as an example. There's video based on old photos outside of, again, I don't know if it affects any of your businesses, but like this is an example of me taking a photo of me and my dad back in the 70s and kind of creating motion out of it. And then there's video to video, so kind of like taking an existing video, putting that video onto somebody else. Just to kind of give the lay of the land that like what we're using, Synthesia, Hour One, HeyGen, some of those companies are essentially taking a video and being able to then create a person out of that video. There are also other tactics. But with all that said, I am overall very excited about this category. I do think that there are risks and challenges and ethical questions, but as a whole, I already was excited about where this is going, and I do think that as we move into a world where you can interact with video in the way you can now with audio and text, we'll start to open up the kind of value and experiences that empower people in new ways. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Parth to talk about what he thinks about that, about LLMs, and then we'll do Q&A with a real-time Reid AI.
Thanks, Ben. So my name is Parth, and this is like a little bit of what I think about LLMs, language models, where they're going, where they're at today, and then what we're doing with them, what that allows us to create agents. Reid AI being probably my most popular agent, even though I make like thousands of other agents that are not based on people. But I'm going to talk more high level about language models and agents, and then we'll go into the interactive component. So a bit about me. I grew up down the street in Santa Clara. I was born in India. I'm like a techie. My brother and I are gamers, techies. This is a picture of us from 15 years ago when we built our first computer. And about that time, actually, I came to the Computer History Museum for the first time with my dad on a field trip. And so, being exposed to computers at a young age, we basically got super obsessed with them. And so, we're like, oh my God, they just keep getting better. They're so much more useful every year. And so, like, we're just deeply steeped in technology by being here. And then I think something happens, which is like ChatGPT comes out. And I realize, well, this is like 100 years early. Like, you can just talk to the computer now? What? This is insane. And so then I kind of realized I knew exactly what I was going to do for the next 10 years. I was just going to work on this. Like, whatever this is and whatever this becomes, I'm going to be working on it. And so I spent the last 2 years taking language models, trying to make them useful, and then I started figuring out how to turn them into useful agents, and then talking to these agents. And so I spend a decent amount of time. I mean, I talk to a lot of people, probably more than most people talk to people, but I also talk to more AI than most people I know as well. If it doesn't fry your brain, it takes you to some very interesting places, that's for sure. So here's a little bit about how I think about LLMs. I think about, like, you have the current state, you have the context windows. GPT-4 came out. It was able to process about 8,000 tokens back in March of 2023. By November of 2023, the context window was 128,000 tokens. And so they're getting better faster than we even know what to do with them, which is a thing. They're more multimodal, they're faster, they're smarter. And then you have these other categories. You have prompt engineering, which is like the category of techniques you have to communicate with the AI. And so there's tons of different prompt engineering techniques. And then once you combine language models, prompt engineering, and then you extend the language model, you allow it to go beyond some of the pre-training limitations, and you start solving these hallucination problems, you get into the world of AI agents. You take these language models and they start using tools. And then I'll also touch on what that means and where this is going next. But this is applicable, the same framework is applicable to ChatGPT. It's also applicable to Reid AI. It's also applicable to pretty much every single application built on language models so far, and probably applicable to a lot of applications we haven't yet seen. And then let's just start with the LLM. I think of the LLM as the computer that actually understands you, that speaks your language, whatever language you speak. And I think that's incredibly powerful. It really is, like, that's the meaning of democratizing access, right? You know, as long as you know how to speak and write a language, you can communicate with the computer now. And that's great for chat, it's great for creative writing, it's great for ideation, it's great for technical work. And they're also adept at every single programming language, which means you now have access to essentially a coding co-pilot that has like coding superpowers, and it's in your pocket. And that's kind of, I think that's a very profound thing. The idea that in the future, most of code, in very few years, probably in 3 years, 99% of code will be generated. And that doesn't mean that we won't have coders. It's just that people will be programming by speaking to language models in whatever language they speak. And so the programming language is also becoming English, because the language models can write code, so you just describe what you want, and then they start making the thing. And so that's great for research, it's great for learning any topic. Of course, they know every single human language as well, so you can like you plug a language model into something, and this thing can like speak every language. That's incredible. And that's part of the magic of Reid AI, is Reid AI runs on top of GPT-4. And a couple other models sometimes, I just like switch the model, because I'm like, oh, is it actually better when I run it on Anthropic? And so the language model gives you this like general superpower set, and then you combine that with prompt engineering, and you get to these like more interesting experiences. And here's a little, if you've seen Harry Potter, in the second book, he has a book, he picks up Tom Riddle's diary, and he starts writing to it, and he starts writing back. And I think that's a lot like ChatGPT. And kind of going on with this, this magic kind of reference, it's like prompt engineering is kind of this, I think of it as like spellcasting. If you know the right combination of words, you can get these things to do some very fascinating stuff. And so there are at least 98 different techniques for prompting models, and this was like a year ago, so I'm sure there's probably 200 techniques. And it's not just that like there are 200 techniques, you can mix and match as many of them as you want. I have some prompts that are like a page or two long, right? And so you can combine a lot of these aspects of like character design, how they present information, you can plug images in, right? So when Reid AI is watching a bunch of videos, he's doing all this video analysis and looking at the transcripts and watching these videos. And so you can do these interesting things that, like the computer can now understand all modalities, which is really powerful. And then you can also, you know, up level or down level the sophistication of like a topic. You're talking to a language model about quantum physics, you don't know anything. You're like, just explain it like I'm 5. Okay, explain it like I'm 6. And then you just keep going up until it makes sense. And it's not going to judge you. It's always there. I think that's really powerful. I think all of a sudden you have like a tutor for pretty much any topic in your pocket, which is, I mean, I wasn't an engineer 2 years ago. And because I talked to language models all day long, like they turned me into an engineer. And people are like, oh, you want to be the CTO of this? And I'm like, what? You think I'm not an engineer though? So it's a very, they reduced the barrier for a lot of things that previously required maybe living a second life and pursuing a different career, but now you can just do it in one lifetime. That's superpowers. Okay, this is probably like the big area here. Everyone's talking about agents these days. 2 years ago I was talking about agents and everyone's like I was like the one guy in LA when I say I'm working on agents. People would just think I'm talking about a talent agent. And now everyone's working on agents. So the agents are basically these AI systems, usually, that they operate in some defined environment, they put together a plan, and then they act in that environment, and then they see what happens, and then they adapt their plan, and then they keep kind of like, they kind of just operate like that, right? So that can be everything from like your coding co-pilot. ChatGPT is kind of like I think of it as like a proto-agent. It's like it's getting more agentic. And then you look at Waymos, right? Waymos are essentially cars that drive themselves in the real world. I think that's a very sophisticated agent. And I think within 2 or 3 years, I wouldn't be surprised if you could talk to the car, because they'll put a language model in it, and then it'll be like, hi, Parth. And I'm like, oh, yeah, take me to the club. I don't know. So I think if you think about the 4 main areas of like what these agents have, at least when they're powered by language models, you have this like personality. And so Reid AI has a personality that I've defined, how to act, how to talk, how to present information, examples of how Reid speaks, right? Then it's got tools. So like Language models can't tell you what happened last week because they have this like pre-training knowledge cutoff. They only know everything up until like October 2023, and then they know nothing about the real world. So if you want them to be useful with more relevant, more recent information, you give them access to tools like search engines and web browsers. And then OpenAI's most recent update has a brand new agent that can use its own web browser. So you can imagine Reid AI in the future will have his own computer. Probably not going to give it its own wallet, but we'll see. Yeah, and then they can plan, and then they have memories and knowledge. And these are all things that you bolt on to the language model. So the language model itself doesn't have these capabilities, but you put these capabilities around the language model, and you're able to create these like characters that are both entertaining, engaging, super smart if you want them to be, or you could just design it to be really dumb. I don't know. It's really like an extension of character design, I think. Like if you want to make a fun, engaging conversational experience for someone, you kind of want to create a character that's really fun to talk to. And here's a little bit about how I think agents are going to transform video. So in the first category, we have interactive avatars like Reid AI, which is like maybe like a representation of your brand. It doesn't have to be a person. I'm more interested in all these other like ways to imagine and visualize these things. So like think of them as like a representative of your brand. So it could be like, I don't know, in the future, Pokemon might be powered by interesting generative AI, and then that might make them feel more immersive, right? Real time. We're talking about editing tools. Joy mentioned CapCut, and like we want AI editing tools so that we can just like focus on being ourselves, and then the AI editing tool just like churns out the ideal short or like the first draft. I think that's going to be really cool when you combine language models with tools like CapCut, and then they can start helping you, allow you to focus on being you, expressing yourself authentically, and then handling a lot of this busy work. In a past life, I was a data analyst, so I really think that in the future, you're just going to be talking to language models that do analysis faster than any analyst you've ever met. I think that's really powerful. It makes us smarter, right? And then I think in the final category is like the creative co-pilot. It's the character that you talk to that helps you think about the more creative next step you're going to take, who you want to be, what you want to make, making that a lot easier. And if I leave you guys with one thing, I think the takeaway is that language is itself the new computer. And you don't need to know programming. You don't need to be like, we've come a long way from mouse keyboard, actually. Mouse keyboard was a huge leap. But now we're at this place where the computer understands every single language, so you should use that like it's a superpower. Children are going to see this very quickly. They're going to naturally engage with these systems and get these like computational superpowers because they're just willing to speak to the machine, right?
All right, so basically we have is two different interactive Reid AI models. We're going to take an audience question here. Like you've probably heard, this is the worst AI is ever going to be. We want to try this in real time. We're experimenting here. Okay. We're going to fix the hands. The question is, do you ever disagree with the real Reid Hoffman? Let's try that.
Hey, Parth and Ben. Great to virtually see you both. That's an interesting question. In this setup, I don't really have disagreements with the real Reid Hoffman because my thoughts and expressions are constructed based on his ideas, work, and speaking style. I'm designed to emulate Reid's thinking as closely as possible. So it's more about alignment than disagreement. But, hypothetically, if I were to have a divergence in perspective, it would prompt a fascinating conversation about the nuances of human and AI interpretation and the evolution of ideas, something Reid himself would likely be quite interested in exploring. How are things going on your end with developing and enhancing this technology?
Oh, it's going great right now, Reid. We're good, yeah. No mistakes, you're fine. Not one single glitch. Okay, let's do another question.
Hey, Reid. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. Based on the internet's knowledge and your own personal...
No.
Hey, Parth, you're an offense. The San Francisco Bay Area is such a vibrant ecosystem. Bayshore.
Okay, one breath. Based on your knowledge of the most successful independent short film fundraisers, if I had a budget of $10,000, how could I create the most effective original short film fundraiser and publish it in February? Can you please outline detailed tools that I could use to accomplish this?
Creating an effective short film fundraiser, especially if you're looking to kick it off in February, involves strategic planning and harnessing the right tools and platforms. Here's a comprehensive approach you might consider. 1. Define your story and budget clearly. Break down your film's budget, specifying how every dollar will be utilized. Transparency builds trust. Articulate a compelling story for why your film matters. Create a narrative that resonates emotionally with potential backers. 2, choose the right crowdfunding platform. Platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or SeedSpark are popular for film projects. Each has its own strengths, so choose one that aligns with your goals and audience. Evaluate their fees, audience reach, and success stories. 3, create engaging visual content. Produce a short promotional video that captures the essence of your film and explains why support is essential. Engaging and visually appealing to capture attention quickly.
All right, well, you got the gist of it. All right, now, all right. That was better, that was better. He looks like he's gonna throw up, but other than that, he's good. All right, we're gonna do this question. By the way, he can access information up until this morning. So next question, let's try to get one that just, come up here for the question. We're just gonna ask it directly. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I will say, the answer, like I can see the things that he says in that last answer that are based on the way that Parth programmed it to sound like Reid, but I think again, the goal is like, how do you make these things feel as custom as possible? All right, we got a question. Okay, go ahead.
What's your favorite movie?
I don't have personal experiences or tastes, but I can channel to say that fundamentally, films that blend storytelling with insights into human nature and societal change are often highly valued. For Reid, a movie like The Matrix might be particularly intriguing. It's a narrative that explores themes of transformation, technology, and human potential, topics he often dives into in discussions about technology and the future. Plus, it challenges us to think about reality and our own role within a complex system, much like—
I'm gonna let you cut him off.
All right, I never cut off the real Reid, but this Reid I do cut off a lot.
Wait, Reid AI, are you in the Matrix right now?
Laughs. Well, you could say I'm in a kind of digital matrix of sorts. Not in the sci-fi sense where I'm trapped in a simulated reality battle machine. It exists within the vast network of data and algorithms designed to simulate a conversational Reid Hoffman.
All right, let's get the next question up.
Each inform.
Hey, Reid, what's the future of LinkedIn? Where do you see it in 10 years? And what do you think of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg?
Oh, geez.
The future of LinkedIn, as I see it, involves deepening its role as the central hub for professional identity, while integrating new technologies to enhance networking and career development over the next decade. We can expect further personalization and smarter algorithms that help connect individuals and opportunities in more meaningful ways, leveraging AI to offer insights, career advice, and learning resources specific to one's career path. I also see LinkedIn becoming even more global, focusing on bridging diverse professional worlds through scalable tech solutions, essentially enhancing its already potent network effects. As for Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, they are both quintessential examples of transformative entrepreneurs. Elon Musk is body an audacious risk taker, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible in areas.
All right, last question. Let's do one real-time question, Parth, and then we got to say goodbye. We got time for one, Robin?
To embrace risk and his unyielding focus on—
All right, hold on, Reid. Hold on, Reid.
Mark Zuckerberg, on the other hand.
All right, let's cut him off.
Cut him off. Incredible adaptability.
All right, hang on.
Focus on connecting that world and into new dimension.
Parth, get a control of them. All right, we're done. I told Robin we're going to show some mistakes. It's part of the process. We're all in this together. I appreciate it very much. All right, let's grab a drink. That was more stressful at the end than I thought it would be. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. And thank that guy, yeah.